welcome to another edition of the Travel Magazine. Today, we will journey to the breathtaking landscape of Argentina's Ushuaia. Beautifully located at the foot of the Great Andes Mountains, with the northern edge of the Beagle Channel serving as its shores, Ushuaia has the unique distinction of being called the world's most southern city. But first, welcome to Chile's enchanting capital city of Santiago. A feast for the eyes with its sprawling high-rises, luxurious plazas, noble promenades, majestic statues, and its indelible and stunning countryside, famous for its authentic Chilean haciendas. It is here, in Santiago, that the heart of South America proudly beats. With a population of almost 5 million, Santiago, Chile is a vibrant and cosmopolitan city surrounded by mountains. Just 2 hours south is Hacienda Las Lingus, dating back to the colonial days. This estate has remained within the same family for over 4 centuries and is one of the oldest in South America. Located within the heart of the towering Andes Mountains, Chile's Santiago has flourished above and beyond its borders. First founded by the Spaniard Pedro de Valdivia, Santiago occasionally fell prey to devastating floods of the nearby Rio Mapocho. Accessible communication was lacking, and its waters were deemed dangerous. Then the 19th and 20th century saw the construction of a railway system linking Santiago to the port of Valparaiso.
The civic center is consisting from the government palace, the one we call the Mint, La Moneda. It was originally built for that purpose. They are still doing that in another section from the city anyway. In another quarter, we're still making all the coins and all the bills to about 10 countries all over the world. And then surrounding this government building, we have 2 squares. The one in the front is called the Constitution Square. All around the government building, we'll find also several buildings, all of them belonging to the government, like the Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Justice, Department of the Treasury, and the Central Post now, an historical museum, the City Hall, the Cathedral, the Plaza de Armas, the Square of the Guns. All the Spanish cities were developed in the surrounding from such a square.
Here at the famous Plaza de Armas, history surrounds you, where many famous figures from Chilean history lie buried. And if you're looking for that special photographic souvenir, then this is the perfect location. The Plaza de Armas, or Square of the Guns, is a must-see for anyone visiting Santiago.
The downtown area is the most important shopping area. It's the only one that stays open the whole day round. In general, in the rest of the city and the rest of the country also, they make that break for the lunch hour, siesta time. The railway station is a main point in Santiago. It's a building already from the end of the last century, the golden period also here. It was built by the same factory that built the Eiffel Tower.
Our journey continues to the Hacienda Las Lingus, where we travel back in time to the charming, majestic days of the conquistadors. All this just 2 hours from Santiago.
Our idea is to show an old Chilean family home. That was the idea. It all started with the British ambassador who wanted to come overnight, and the office in Santiago said, no, there isn't any overnight. And my son called me and said, Mother, what can we do? I said, no way, I don't want anybody sleeping in my house. And then about 6 months later, my son said, Mother, today is Wednesday, on Saturday we need 3 rooms ready. The Department of Tourism of the government is going to see the house and we're going to have overnight. So in 3 days, I took all my bed, my children's bed, everybody's room, and put it on the other side of the house and started. That's the way we started.
I read in your brochure a date 1599. How far does your family go back?
This belongs to my husband's family. I only work here. All right, and I eat also and I sleep.
Yes.
But it goes back to the King of Spain in those days, 1500s, and somebody in the family did some services for the crown, and he was granted some land here, where it is now. My husband loves history and genealogy, and he thought this could not be just in anybody's hands, because it was one of probably of the few farms in America that have belonged to the same family for so long.
When we return, join us for an exclusive tour of the magnificent Las Lingus and explore the elaborate beauty of its rooms. Come and experience an authentic Chilean rodeo and savor an elegant Chilean dinner Hacienda style. Welcome to the Hacienda Las Lingus, a classic, alluring site entrenched in the history and events that have shaped its country and people over the last 400 years. Las Lingus is part of the ancient Angostura estate. It was 4 centuries ago, in the year 1599, that King Philip III offered this land to the first mayor of Santiago. The estate has managed to be preserved by the same family for over 4 centuries and has truly endured the test of time. Today, it is honored by the Chilean people, not only for its uncompromising beauty and elaborate and traditional elegance, but also as a respected and valued historical monument that stands as one of the oldest and most characteristic estates, accurately representing the days of colonial settlement. You have a lovely chapel on the property. Did you get married in it?
I didn't, because we didn't own this. I think my husband did, but it wasn't fixed. It was in a very bad.
So tell me about the chapel.
The chapel was this room and the chapel were the first things built in this house. Around 1650 is what historians and architects say. Yes. And this was built as a barn, and the chapel as a dairy barn. And in 1780, when they built the part where the living rooms are, yes, that is the newest part. That was built in 1780. At that point, they turned this into a dining room and the chapel into a chapel, and changed the dairy to where the stables are today. When we got here, it was all in shambles, very bad, and it took us a couple of years to start fixing it, and we put in the stone floor because we thought it needed noble materials. One thing that is very beautiful, we have a crucifix that belonged to Pope Pius IX, that was done probably in Germany, late 15, early 1600. Yes. The cross is done of royal ebony wood, and it belonged to my grandmother. They bought it in 1888 in France, for her, when she was born. And I think that's the most important piece we have in the chapel. But having a chapel is wonderful. They can go riding, they can play tennis, they can go fishing, catch and release. They can go for walks or hiking in the hills. But what most people do here really is come just for the horses.
So what do you do with your horses today, apart from guests riding them?
These horses are trained for the national sport, for a rodeo. But a rodeo is not what in Chile is not what the American rodeo is. In Chile, it's a very serious sport. It's absolutely different. They don't do any lasso work, none of that. They just ride their horses in couples, couple of people and horse, around a ring. And this is very serious. They get points and they can't even wear long hair, the people.
Yes.
They have sort of a uniform. The Huaso uniform is very strict for that. People are fanatics. They can spend more money in a horse and saddle than sending their children to school or university. Because everybody goes to the rodeos, everybody's involved, and they are all exactly the same in the ring, and they are beautifully dressed because they wear the same mantas, both of them. It's very lovely, it's very beautiful, very organized. Basically, all the rodeo horses in Chile come out of these horses. Now, there's lots of different horse farms, but if you go back tracing their blood, they're all from the same horses.
The horses you're seeing here on the ring today are called Chilean Criollo, okay? It's our national horse. It's a purebred, and they come from the northern Morocco horse called the Berebere. They came here with the Spanish conquistador. He brought them here because when the Spanish conquistadors were producing horses up in Spain, they realized that they thought this horse would be good for the kind of terrain they would encounter in South America. So they said, well, if this horse is good in southern Spain, in the region of Andalusia, why not take it down to Chile and use it down there? Well, that was one good thought because these horses have adapted and have been excellent. What we do here is that we let a calf go in the ring, then we have to guide it with two horses along the walls to each padded area. Once the calf gets to the padded area, we're going to turn it around. Now, the better position you turn it around and the further back you turn the calf around, the more points you get. So that's why you have a ring here. You see they're guiding the calf around the ring. One horse guides, the other pushes. They're on the padded area, they have to stop him right there. Turn him around. Woo-ha!
After a full day of exploring and partaking in a traditional Chilean rodeo, we're famished. There is nothing more enticing than to sit down for dinner served in traditional colonial style. In this beautiful dining room with all its glorious detail, Las Lingus offers us an exquisite cuisine of delicious Chilean food. When we return, join us as we travel south to Ushuaia, Argentina, to explore the mystical Beagle Channel and visit the awesome, picturesque town of Ushuaia.
We will be back with more of the Travel Magazine just after this, so stay with us.
We now take you to the magnificent Tierra del Fuego, meaning Land of Fire. It's an archipelago of 76,000 square kilometers, surrounded by the South Atlantic Ocean, the Strait of Magellan, and the easternmost part of the Pacific Ocean. Welcome to Ushuaia, Argentina, the southernmost city in the world and gateway to Antarctica. It started off as a penal colony, and today it has a population of about 40,000. So come with us as we explore this city and the Beagle Channel. Ushuaia sits at 55 degrees latitude south, earning the distinction of being recognized as the world's southernmost city. Ushuaia had also gained past interest because of its minor gold and lumber booms. But until 1947, its reputation grew as a penal colony, and many of Argentina's most abominable, notorious criminals and political prisoners were sent to this remote, lonely city. The town maintains its ramshackle feel from earlier mining days, but we are drawn by the awesome natural beauty of Ushuaia. From the brilliant Beagle Channel to the surrounding glacial peaks, Ushuaia is truly a magnificent sight for all who visit.
Ushuaia is at the end of the earth, and there are many important names that surround our place, like Beagle Channel, Cape Horn, Magellan Strait, Drake Passage. We are close to Antarctica, so the people come here trying to find the end of the world.
Much of the city's economy comes from the sea. It has become a duty-free port welcoming trade from around the world. However, while wool, forestry, and fishing are significant sources of revenue, it is the thousands of tourists visiting year-round that make up the backbone of Ushuaia's economy. Ushuaia used to be a penal colony. Now you have a population of around 40,000,
Yes.
and it's only a matter of 20 or 30 years. Why has this happened?
Because in the 70s, our government passed a promotional law to encourage people to settle down here. So they passed this promotional law, giving many benefits to the industries that wanted to settle down here. They didn't pay taxes, they were reimbursement, so Ushuaia began to be a place for opportunities. Many people began to come.
Hi.
Hi. Buenos días.
Buenos días.
Hey.
Lenga. Lenga, madera natural de acá de la zona. Lenga.
Yeah.
Ya. Cuesta
How much?
40 pesos.
40.
Ah, sí, 40 pesos.
People travel countless miles to discover this mystical natural beauty and to catch a glimpse of the end of the world. Now, the yellow building behind us,
Yeah,
what was that?
that's the old prison. That's the
old-
origin of our city. That's the main building in our city. Ushuaia was born and grew up because of that jailhouse, because of that. That's why we look like this. The name of this channel is Beagle because of a ship. Her majestic ship, the Beagle, That was a ship that came with Fitzroy in 1830 and discovered this channel. Almost all the people that come to Ushuaia go to visit the Beagle Channel. That is quite famous. We see a lot of wildlife in the Beagle Channel. There are albatrosses, fur seals, sea lions, very interesting animals to see.
How do you get there? How do you do this?
Catamarans mainly. There are some catamarans here in the Beagle Channel that make some different trips. Sometimes you go and see just birds and sea lions and many, many interesting animals to see.
Join us for a catamaran ride down the Beagle Channel. Here is an amazing opportunity to explore a vast and stimulating array of wildlife and meet with the various creatures that are reminiscent of the diverse wildlife throughout the South American continent. Remarkably, this channel is more than just a zoological adventure. It is also filled with historic experiences. It is here and the surrounding areas of Tierra del Fuego that has seen many shipwrecks from the early colonial days. Well, that's it for this edition of the Travel Magazine. Join us again as we travel the world.